Asian stocks were up 5 months high, and the yuan extended a sharp rally today, with speculations that the Bank of Japan could take another step towards dismantling its super easy stimulus policies. Now, MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan fell 0.4%. Japan's Nikkei opened 1.4%, though bank shares surged to an 8-year high on the prospect of rising interest income at lenders. S&P 500 futures tacked on 0.1%. The Nasdaq 100 futures added 0.2%, held by aftermarket jump in shares of Intel, which reported a surprise quarterly profit in the currency market. Yuan holding was about 0.5% at 138.83 per dollar in the early trade. Euro slid near 1% overnight and nosed losses at $1.09. US 10-year yields rose 16 basis points and broke above 4%, steady at 4.01% in Asian trade. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says Russian African trade reached $18 billion in 2022, which was necessitated by the first Russian-African summit in Sochi, Russia in 2019. He said this at the ongoing Russian-African Summit, an economic and humanitarian forum in St. Petersburg. President Putin said that Russia's government, businesses, and the public were sincerely interested in further deepening multifaceted trade investment and humanitarian ties with Africa. Russia's trade with African countries in agricultural products increased by 10%, amounting to $6.7 billion, and had already demonstrated record growth between January and June 2023 by 60%, while stating that Russia exported 11.5 million tons of grain to Africa in 2022 and almost 10 million tons in the first 6 months of 2023. Meanwhile, the African Export-Import Bank have announced a credit limit of $30 billion to support African investors willing to exploit the opportunities in Russia. The European Central Bank has raised its interest rate by 25 basis points to curb inflation, diverging from U.S. Federal Reserve's decision to pause its own hike. The latest move completes a full year of consecutive rate hikes in the Eurozone after ECB embarked on its journey to tackle high inflation last year. After the rate hike, the interest rates on main refinancing operations on the marginal lending facility and on the deposit facility will be increased to 4.25%, 4.5%, and 3.75%, respectively, with effect from August 2nd.
Inflation continues to decline, but is still expected to remain too high for too long. We are determined to ensure that inflation returns to our 2% medium-term target in a timely manner. The Governing Council, therefore, today decided to raise the 3 key ECB interest rates by 25 basis points. The rate increase today reflects our assessment of the inflation outlook, the dynamics of underlying inflation, and the strength of monetary policy transmission. The developments since our last meeting support our expectation that inflation will drop further over the remainder of the year. Our future decisions will ensure that the key ECB interest rates will be set at sufficiently restrictive levels for as long as necessary to achieve a timely return of inflation to our 2% medium-term target.
Well, all seems not to be going well with the CEO of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, and his new Twitter rival Threads. The platform executive has told his employees that the app has lost more than half of its users in the weeks following its BOJ launch, and it's focusing on boosting retention on the new app. Mr. Zuckerberg said this while speaking at an internal company town hall meeting, the audio of which was heard by Reuters. He said retention of users on the text-based app was better than executives had expected, though it was not perfect. The Facebook owner has said he considered the drop-off normal and expected retention to grow as the company adds more features to the apps, including a desktop version and search functionality. A company spokesperson declined to comment on the outcome of the meeting. Well, crude oil prices slipped on Asian trade today, but were on track for a 5th straight week of gains, following strong economic data in the United States and on speculations over Chinese stimulus measures and OPEC Plus's Output quotes U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell at $80.01 with a downward price margin of 0.10%. Brent also experienced a price decline of 0.17% to sell at $84.10. Bonnie Light recorded an upward price review, 0.27% to sell at $85 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude dealers are offering $84.82 with an upsurge of 0.21%.